Pakistan's credibility as a mediator is under serious global scrutiny. What was projected as a diplomatic breakthrough in a rapidly unraveling situation, it is now a story of confusion, contradiction, and credibility loss. Pakistan is no longer being seen as a bridge between Washington and Tehran, but increasingly as a player that may have muddied the waters. American activist Jeremy Scahill has raised serious concerns, pointing to assurances relayed by Pakistan that simply did not materialize on ground. Iran was led to believe that there would be a rollback on the Strait of Hormuz blockade, but that never happened, exposing a dangerous gap between promise and policy. Iranian officials are now openly questioning what Pakistan was told and what it chose to convey or relay, with intermediaries reportedly scrambling to keep up with shifting narratives on ground. And at the heart of this diplomatic confusion lies a deeper question. Is Pakistan merely ineffective, or is it actively shaping narratives to suit its own strategic interests? With trust eroding on both sides, Islamabad risks being labelled not as a mediator, but as a double-crosser in one of the most sensitive geopolitical flashpoints. The signs of Pakistan's alleged bias and diplomatic mismanagement are not isolated, but part of a broader pattern that is now impossible to ignore. From inflammatory rhetoric to questionable back-channel communication, Islamabad's actions are now raising red flags in global capitals. Its defense minister's remarks calling Israel a cancerous state have already signaled a clear ideological leaning, undermining any claim of neutrality. Reports suggest that Pakistan may have handed over an incorrect or altered proposal during sensitive negotiations, having further deepened the mistrust between Iran and the US. Adding to the concerns, US intelligence assessments have now reportedly flagged Army Chief Asim Munir as a potential risk factor for Trump administration, raising double and standards and doubts about military's influence on one hand, as well as its efforts on diplomacy on the other. And then comes the flip-flop over Lebanon in ceasefire negotiations, where Pakistan's shifting stance has only added to the perception of inconsistency. Meanwhile, West Asian experts say that there's also growing chatter within Iranian circles over whether Pakistan is genuinely acting as a neutral mediator or simply advancing Washington's agenda. So questions are being raised by both sides as Pakistan is pushing aggressively for talks in Islamabad, whether it is shaping the process to suit American interests or its own interests. Joining us on the show is Ambassador Prabhu Dayal, former Indian diplomat. Also with us is Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, is a defense and geopolitical expert, and Imtiaz Gul, author, senior journalist, executive director, the Center for Research and Security Studies, will be joining us from Islamabad very, very shortly. But before I come to him, Ambassador, I want to come to you, sir. When you look at all these developments as far as role of Pakistan is concerned, what are you making of what Pakistan is doing? Is it deliberate? Is it misinformation because Pakistan wants to suit its own agenda? Or is it being played as a puppet by the Americans as it has traditionally?
Well, let me begin by saying that Iran has openly questioned Pakistan's neutrality in the talks with the United States, which it was mediating. So this whole facade that was put up of a great mediation act has been brought to naught. Iran's state-controlled media and its analysts have launched a direct attack on Pakistan, specifically targeting Army Chief Asim Munir. Now, the Iranian media has alleged that Islamabad is acting as a biased intermediary for the United States rather than as a neutral mediator. Now, Tehran is questioning why a 10-point peace framework previously relayed to Washington through Pakistan received no feedback, while Islamabad pushed a 15, 16 point plan which the United States had put forward. So, in a nutshell, the diplomatic process has stalled, with Iranian analysts stating that the mediation efforts are merely a publicity stunt designed by Pakistan to secure credibility rather than bring lasting peace. And Iran's blunt dismissal of Pakistan's role is raising significant doubts over the future of the dialogue. Iranian officials have signaled that they might not attend talks. That is how the present scenario is.
Thank you for putting it in perspective. Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, when you look at the fact that earlier Pakistan was being questioned by Israel for its neutrality, but now Iran is also questioning it. At the same time, US is also raising alarm bells on whether Pakistan is deliberately trying to, play as a mediator, but at the same time gain some ground with the world community and amongst, the world leaders in order to establish its place as a peacenik, or whether this is a genuine effort being made by Pakistan. There is more, argument towards the former than latter, with more and more countries now coming out, including the two countries who are at war with each other, coming out and questioning Pakistan's, narrative, questioning its stand, questioning the deliberate manhandling of or mishandling of information and communication.
Thank you, Shweta. I tend to agree with the ambassador. There is no denying the fact that the Pakistanis are acting not as mediator, but as, we could say, the proxy of the Americans. And the Iranians do seem to feel that they're convinced, rather, what seem to feel, they're convinced that they are, the Pakistanis are thrusting the opinions of the Americans on the Iranians, and therefore aren't actually correctly conveying what the Iranians desire. That particular part did come out during the first attempt of the peace talks, which not almost failed, wherein Lebanon was an issue. And that clearly showed that much that the Pakistanis seem to feel that Lebanon was discussed, but the Israelis said, and the Americans said Lebanon wasn't discussed. And the Iranians felt it was a total letdown because the Pakistanis knew what their standpoint was. And in that case, definitely. And even now, again and again, Qasim Munir is being seen very close to the IRGC. As much as IRGC also had a stake, the entire Iran revolves around what IRGC wants, similarly to what in Pakistan is. The Pakistan army has the entire state to itself. So they're almost same ideologically, the way they go about it. And his closeness, personal relationship with the IRGC also seems to be now being questioned by the Americans. So there's a lot that the Americans seem to feel that Qasim Munir is not doing what he should be doing. And therefore, all these talks, the first ones failed, the second ones have almost got postponed. Some said maybe tomorrow, maybe day after, whatever it be so. But I don't think there is a trust deficit. Iranians don't now trust the Pakistanis. Obviously, Pakistan has never ever recognized Israel. Israel has always called Pakistan a terror state along with Iran. So in this kind of a situation, I don't think, because Pakistan has all along maintained that Pakistan uses terrorism as an instrument of state policy, and much that it would want to be a peacenik, it cannot become one. Everybody knows the interests of Pakistan. Pakistan is wanting to get bailed out economically. It has gone up to Saudi Arabia to get about $5 to $7 billion, obviously
right,
to pay off UAE $3.5 billion. And in that context, it's wanting to revive itself economically. And all these are all talks and all. I don't think Pakistan will ever succeed because it is not a mediator from that point of view. It's just a messenger, and that to a messenger of Trump,
right.
who the Iranians feel his opinion, his views are being trusted in the Iranians, and therefore I don't think Pakistan can actually play any role in trying to bring both America and Iran on the
Right.
same page.
All right, perhaps this was for the first time that the world was hoping Pakistan would succeed at something. Ambassador, come to think of it, all eyes were on Pakistan. We were hoping that perhaps this time around it will do some good, not to rewrite its own past, but to be able to bring some sort of peace and ensure some sort of stability in the world. But that's not happening. Can the mediation even be meaningful when there is trust deficit? Between the negotiator, the country trying to negotiate, and the two players who are negotiating in that country. So can a mediation even be successful when there are ground level hostilities and when, there's a serious trust deficit in Pakistan?
No, I'm afraid that when there is such a serious lack of trust in the mediator, the mediation process cannot make any headway. And as the situation stands, the diplomatic process between the United States and Iran, or the talks that were going on, remains at an impasse. Now, the failure to hold a second round of talks in Islamabad, combined with ongoing disagreement over key issues such as the naval blockade, has effectively halted progress. And if the mediating party, which is Pakistan, is not trusted by one of the sides, that is Iran, then naturally we cannot expect any meaningful progress to take place. And Pakistan had tried to position itself as a principal facilitator for these talks, but now finds that its role is diminished. And the perception that the whole process is over-compromised and has not been delivered properly. This has weakened Pakistan's standing among the parties involved. So, in other words, I don't see the Pakistanis being able to play any meaningful role in this mediation activity.
As a follow-up of that question, General, if Pakistan is unable to play the role of mediator, and since Pakistan is acting as the primary mediator right now, the only country where both the US and Iranian delegation has met previously, although, without a breakthrough, was likely to meet again this week, although that's not happening. But as the only country available and as the only option available out there, what are the chances of West Asian war ending in a breakthrough, in a longer ceasefire, in a peace deal being signed? And which are the other countries, what are the other alternatives that the US and Iran can look at today?
It definitely, Shweta, seeing the geostrategic location of Pakistan and that it has a 900-kilometer border along with Iran, it should have been able to play a role. But as we discussed, trust deficit. Iran and Pakistan have never maintained good relations, have never had good relations, for a very simple reason, because Balochistan has won, because the eastern Balochistan of Iran and Balochistan, the province which seems to be absolutely at war with Pakistan. So there's a lot that is happening over there.
Okay.
At the same time, Strait of Hormuz. Now, the Chinese have an interest in the Strait of Hormuz to be kept open. The Americans obviously want to strangle it and ensure that the suffocation and total strangulation by the Strait of Hormuz of Iran is the only way forward right now. They don't want to bomb Iran, though I'm told something of that kind has started or some kind of rumors are there. I haven't really confirmed that part of it. But surely Americans would want to stay away. Boots on ground, very difficult. But strangulation of Hormuz, yes. But what happens with the strangulation of Hormuz? Which is the country most affected? China. Now, China and Pakistan have good relations. Obviously, with that in mind, they don't know Pakistan is a neighbor. Now,
right.
This kind of a funny situation, a catch-22 situation for Pakistan. It can neither please China, nor it can please Pakistan, nor America, and nor can it be able to say anything to Iran. Now, Iran also feels the pinch of that strangulation of the Strait of Hormuz, because it cannot export anything.
Absolutely.
Nothing can go out of Iran,
right.
and nothing can come inside Iran. A $500 million loss every day. And almost 1.7 million barrels of oil that will be going to China can't go. So all this leads to logistic problems for Iran. Obviously, because Iran has been damaged very badly.
So I understand this is a conflict which is prolonging and it's bleeding out both the US and Iran simultaneously. And I want to discuss, of course, what it means for the two countries and when can we likely see the conflict ending and who's winning essentially. But I will have to slip into a very short break, gentlemen. Stay with us. We are, of course, discussing the war in West Asia. And after the break, we'll try and understand who's actually winning the war, given that that question has confounded everybody with the current losses that both Iran and US continue to see with each passing day. What are we making when we add up the math on economics?